My name is Chang Zara, and I want to tell you what it means to be fully both.
The auditorium at Seoul International Elementary was packed. Parents filled every seat, their phones held high to capture the moment. Teachers lined the walls, smiling with pride. And on the stage, under bright lights that illuminated her beautiful blended complexion, 10-year-old Chang Zara stood at the podium with a confidence that belied her age. "My name is Chang Zara," she began, her voice clear and strong, carrying to every corner of the room. Her long black curly hair cascaded over her shoulders, framing a face that was unmistakably both Korean and Nigerian, a perfect blend of her parents. "And I want to tell you what it means to be fully both." She paused, letting the words sink in. In the third row, Flora felt tears prick her eyes. Her daughter looked so grown up in her traditional hanbok, standing there with the poise of someone who knew exactly who she was. "When I was 5 years old," Zara continued, "someone asked me a question I've been asked 1,000 times since. 'Where are you from?' I said Seoul, I was born here. But they said no, where are you really from? Like Seoul wasn't a real answer. Like I couldn't really be Korean because I don't look like everyone else." The audience was silent now, hanging on every word. For a long time I didn't know how to answer that question. Was I Korean? Was I Nigerian? Was I half and half? But then my mom taught me something important. She said I'm not half of anything. I'm fully Korean. I speak Korean. I eat kimchi. I bow to my elders. I celebrate Chuseok and Seolal. Korea is my home, and I'm fully Nigerian. I speak Igbo. I eat jollof rice. I know my grandmother's stories. Nigeria is in my blood. I'm not choosing between them. I'm both, fully both. She smiled then, bright and beautiful. Being fully both means I get 2 cultures instead of 1. 2 languages instead of 1, 2 sets of traditions, 2 histories, 2 ways of seeing the world. Some people think that makes me confused, but I'm not confused. I'm lucky. I'm so lucky that I get to be everything I am. The applause started before she even finished. By the time Zara stepped back from the podium, the entire auditorium was on its feet. Parents who'd been skeptical, who'd whispered about the Chang family, were clapping harder than anyone. Teachers were wiping tears. And Zara stood there, soaking it in, looking every bit the confident girl who knew exactly who she was. Flora's heart swelled with pride so intense it was almost painful. Beside her, Chang Mao squeezed her hand, his face radiating pride. This was what they'd been fighting for, a child who could declare her identity without shame or fear. They'd won. After 11 years of fighting, they'd finally won. But victory was an illusion, and the penthouse was quiet that evening. Zara had gone straight to her room. Juno, their 9-year-old son, had barely said a word during the car ride home. His features were a blend of his parents', his skin tone a beautiful medium shade between Chang Mao's pale complexion and Flora's rich brown, his black curly hair cut short. "Juno, did you see your sister's speech?" Chang Mao asked. "Wasn't she amazing?" Juno shrugged. "Yeah, amazing." Then he disappeared into his room, the door closing with a soft click. At 8:30 that evening, Flora walked past Zara's room and heard something that stopped her cold. Her daughter was crying. Not loud tears, but quiet, broken sobs that came from somewhere deep inside. Flora knocked softly before entering. Zara was sitting on her bed, still in her handbok, her face buried in her hands. "Baby, what's wrong?" Flora sat beside her, pulling her close. "Your speech was beautiful. Everyone loved it." "I know," Zara said through tears. "That's the problem." Flora pulled back, confused. "I don't understand." Zara looked up, and the exhaustion in her 10-year-old eyes made Flora's heart clench. "I'm tired, Mommy. I'm so tired of always having to explain, tired of being brave, tired of being the example. Every cultural day, every presentation, I'm the one they ask to talk about being multicultural. I'm the one who has to prove people like me are okay, and I do it because I know it's important. But Mommy, can't I just be Zara? Just a regular girl who likes K-pop and math? Why do I always have to be the example?" Flora felt like she'd been punched. "Oh, baby, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize." "I am proud," Zara said. But I'm also tired. Is that okay? Can I be both? Yes, of course you can. Flora kissed the top of her daughter's head. You don't have to give speeches or be interviewed if you don't want to. But then who will? If kids like me stop speaking up, won't people forget about us? The impossible burden Flora had placed on her daughter. That's not your job. That's my job. That's what adults are supposed to do. There was a knock on the door. Chang Mao stood there holding an envelope. This just came. Express delivery. It's addressed to Zara. Flora took the envelope, noting the official seal. Lagos International Academy. Her heart started racing as she opened it. Dear Miss Chang Zara, we are pleased to inform you that you have been selected as one of 10 international students for our Cultural Immersion Scholarship Program. This fully funded opportunity would allow you to spend 1 academic year at our institution in Lagos, Nigeria, living with a host family and fully engaging with Nigerian culture. Flora looked up at Zara, whose eyes were bright with something she couldn't quite name. Hope. Desperation. You applied for this? Zara nodded. 3 months ago, essay competition. I didn't think I'd win. Zara, this means leaving home for a year, living with strangers in a country you've never been to. I know, but Mommy, maybe in Nigeria I won't have to explain. Maybe there, I'll just be another girl. Not special or different, just me. Flora's heart broke. Her daughter was so desperate to escape being different. We need to talk to your father about this. This is a family decision. Before they could continue, Flora's phone buzzed. A text from Yolanda Kim. Flora, are you awake? Something's happened. I need you to call me. It's urgent. Flora's stomach dropped. Yolanda never used that word unless something was seriously wrong. I need to take this, Flora told Zara and Chang Mao. But we're not done talking about Nigeria. In the hallway, Flora dialed Yolanda's number. What's wrong? The foundation accounts. Yolanda's voice was shaking. Flora, someone's been taking money. A lot of money. I was reviewing quarterly reports and the numbers didn't match. We've been embezzled for months. The hallway tilted. Flora pressed her hand against the wall. How much? I don't know yet, but substantial. If this gets out, it'll destroy our credibility. Who had access? Only 4 people. Me, you, the accountant we hired last year, and Chang Mao's executive assistant. Park Minji, Chang Mao's assistant for 3 years. We need to call the police, right now. I already did. They're coming tomorrow morning. Flora, there's something else. Someone's been accessing our family database. Personal information, addresses, children's schools. The logs show regular downloads over the past 2 months. Flora's blood ran cold. Someone's been stealing our members' information? Yes, and the IP addresses are different. 2 different breaches. 2 different threats. Send me everything, every log, every transaction, and don't tell anyone else yet. Flora found Chang Mao in his office, hunched over his laptop. Chang Mao, we need to talk. He held up 1 finger. Give me 5 minutes. 5 minutes turned into 10. Flora watched her husband, saw the tension in his jaw, the way he kept rubbing his chest, the shortness of breath. When was the last time you saw a doctor? I'm fine. You're not fine. You've been working 18-hour days for months. You keep touching your chest. It's just stress. Once this quarter closes, I'll take time off. You always say that. Chang Mao finally looked up, exhaustion written across his face. Flora, I don't have a choice. The board is pushing for aggressive growth. If I show weakness, they'll question my leadership again. I need you alive more than successful. Before she could continue, her phone rang, a number she hadn't seen in 5 years. I need to take this. In the hallway, Flora answered. Hello? Flora. The voice was weak, hoarse, but Flora knew it immediately. Mio. Mio, is that you? I'm sorry to call. I know it's been years. But Flora, I'm dying. Stage 4 cancer. 3 months, maybe 4. And I need to tell you something. When we exposed Madame Chang, we thought we'd gotten everyone. But we were wrong. There was someone else. Someone on Chang Industries' board working with her from the beginning. Someone who's been waiting, gathering resources. And Flora, they're making their move now. Everything happening to your family is coordinated. Flora's heart was pounding. Who? I can't say over the phone. It's not safe. But I have evidence. Years of evidence. Documents, recordings, everything you need to stop him. Please meet me tomorrow, 2 p.m., at the cafe in Gangnam where we first met. Come alone. If the wrong people know, they'll accelerate their timeline. Their timeline for what? For destroying everything you've built. Your family, your foundation, your husband's company. This person has been planning for over a decade, and now all the pieces are in place. The call ended. Flora stood in the hallway, phone clutched in her shaking hand. Someone on the board. Someone they'd trusted for years. A sound from Juno's room. Shouting. Flora ran and pushed open the door. Juno was sitting on his bed, tablet in hands, tears streaming down his face. On the screen was a video from his school, her son in the playground trying to join a soccer game. You can't play, you're not really Korean. Yes, I am. I was born here. Your mom is African. That makes you African. I'm both. You can't be both. You have to choose. The video ended with Juno walking away while boys laughed. The caption read, "This is what happens when foreigners dilute our culture. These confused children don't belong anywhere." Who posted this? Flora demanded. I don't know, Juno sobbed. Someone filmed it and put it online. Now everyone's seen it. Everyone's saying I should go back to Africa, that I'm not really Korean. Flora pulled her son into her arms. Over his head she could see the view count. 60,000. In hours, 60,000 people had watched her 9-year-old son be rejected. I hate it here, Juno whispered. I hate being different. Mommy, why did you marry Dad? Why did you make us like this? The question felt like a knife. Juno, you're not like anything. You're exactly who you're supposed to be. Then why does everyone hate me? Flora stayed with Juno until his sobs quieted, until his breathing evened out in exhaustion. But she didn't leave. She sat on the edge of his bed in the darkness, watching her son sleep, and felt her heart break all over again. She thought about Zara's exhaustion, about how she'd been so focused on the public battle that she'd missed what it was costing her children privately, and here was Juno, carrying the same weight but expressing it as anger instead of exhaustion. Flora leaned close to her sleeping son and whispered, I know you're angry. At me, at your father, at the world. And that's okay. But Juno, you are not a mistake. The people who reject you are making the mistake. And one day, when you're older and stronger, you'll help change their minds. Not because you have to, because you choose to. Just like your sister chooses to give speeches. Just like I choose to fight. But right now, you're allowed to just be 9. You're allowed to be angry and tired and confused. I'm here for all of it. Juno stirred but didn't wake. Flora kissed his forehead and quietly left the room. When she returned to the living room, Chang Mao was on his phone, face ashen. Park Minji has been arrested. Police picked her up an hour ago. Embezzlement from Chang Industries and the Foundation. Flora, they're saying it could be millions. So it was Minji. But that didn't explain the data breach. There's more, Chang Mao continued. I got an email from a production company. They've been filming a documentary about our family. It premieres next week. What? We never agreed to that. They don't need permission. All footage from public events, social media, security cameras, all legal. Flora, they sent me a trailer. He turned his laptop toward her. Flora watched as carefully edited footage made their family look like a disaster. Zara's speech cut to sound defensive. Juno's video used as evidence mixed children are confused. Flora at events, edited to look aggressive. Voiceovers, expert testimony about challenges children face. Statistics about depression in mixed-race children. Parents expressing concern about changing Korea. The trailer ended with a title, The Cost of Diversity, a hard look at multicultural families in modern Korea. Flora felt sick. When does it premiere? Next Thursday. Before Flora could respond, her phone rang. Unknown number. Mrs. Chang, this is Attorney Lee from Seoul Metropolitan Legal Services. I'm calling on behalf of Madame Chang Myung-suk. My client's case has been reviewed. Due to her age and health, she's been granted early release. She'll be freed in 2 weeks. Flora's blood turned to ice. That's not possible. The law allows for early release in certain circumstances. Your mother-in-law is 70 with serious health conditions. She tried to kill my daughter. Mrs. Chang, my client, is dying. She has perhaps 2 years. She's asking for the chance to meet with you and your children, to apologize, to make amends. Tell your client to stay away from my family. My client is asking for the chance to die with a clear conscience. Then she should have thought of that before she terrorized us. Flora hung up and stood very still. Madame Chang was getting out, in 2 weeks. Flora? Chang Mao's voice sounded strange. Flora, I don't feel well. She turned and saw her husband standing in the middle of the room, one hand pressed against his chest, his face gray. Chang Mao, what's wrong? My chest. It hurts. I can't breathe right. Heart attack. The signs were textbook. We're going to the hospital right now. I'm fine, just stress. You're having a heart attack. Flora was calling emergency services. You need to sit down. But Chang Mao's legs were giving out. Flora caught him as he collapsed. His eyes were fluttering. Stay with me. Help is coming. Doors opened. Zara and Juno appeared, faces white with terror. Daddy? Zara's voice was small. Call building security, Flora told her. Tell them we need the AED. Juno, go downstairs and wait for the ambulance. Go. The children ran. Flora was left alone with her husband, watching him struggle to breathe. Don't you dare die. Don't you dare leave me. Chang Mao's hand found hers, squeezed weakly. The paramedics arrived 6 minutes later. They worked quickly, loading Chang Mao onto a stretcher. Is he going to be okay? Flora asked, climbing into the ambulance. We need to get him to the hospital immediately. At Samsung Medical Center, they rushed Chang Mao into emergency surgery. Heart attack complicated by a congenital defect no one had known about. A ticking time bomb that stress had triggered. The surgery would take hours. Flora sat in the waiting room with Zara and Juno pressed against her sides, watching the clock. Midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. At 2:30, Flora's phone buzzed with a news alert. Controversial documentary about multicultural families set to air early. The Cost of Diversity will premiere tomorrow night. Below was a still image, Juno's face frozen in pain. Flora stared at the image, at her son's humiliation about to be broadcast to millions. Chang Mao was in surgery. Minji had embezzled millions. Someone had stolen their database. Mio was dying with warnings. Madame Chang was being released. The documentary was airing tomorrow. Mommy? Zara's voice was small. What are we going to do? Flora looked at her daughter, at her son, and she realized she didn't know. For the first time in 11 years, Flora genuinely didn't know. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. This is just the beginning. Everything you've built is about to crumble. Your foundation's credibility will be destroyed. Your husband's company will be taken. Your children will become symbols of failure. You should have stayed in Nigeria, Flora. You should have known you'd never belong here. No signature. But reading it, Flora felt ice in her bones. Someone was orchestrating all of it. The embezzlement, the documentary, Juno's video, the data breach, maybe even Chang Mao's heart attack from months of stress. All connected, all designed to destroy them. And whoever was behind it had been planning for years. Flora should have been terrified, should have been ready to give up. But sitting there, watching her children try to be brave while their father fought for his life, Flora felt something else. Rage. Pure rage. Someone thought they could destroy her family, use her children's pain as a weapon, take everything and burn it down. They were wrong. Flora had survived an arranged marriage, survived assassination attempts and kidnappings, survived Madame Chang's hatred and Marcus Chen's revenge. She would survive this too, and she would fight back. But to fight, she needed information, needed to know who she was fighting, needed Mio's evidence. In 10 hours, she was supposed to meet Mio. Agent Park appeared in the waiting room. I heard about Chang Mao. How is he? Still in surgery. Agent Park sat beside Flora. I got your message about the embezzlement and data breach. Minji is in custody but not talking. There's more. Flora told Agent Park everything. Mio's call, the warning about someone on the board, the documentary, Madame Chang's release, the threatening text. Agent Park listened, face growing grimmer. You think it's all connected, one person orchestrating everything. Don't you? Yes. The timing is too perfect. Flora, whoever this is, they're patient. They've been planning for years. Which is why I need to meet Mio tomorrow. She has evidence, names, documents. I'll go with you. She said come alone. Then I'll stay out of sight. But Flora, I'm not letting you walk into a potential trap. At 5 a.m. the surgeon emerged. Flora stood so fast she nearly dropped Juno. The surgery was successful, the surgeon said, and Flora's knees nearly buckled. But Mrs. Chang, your husband's heart is severely weakened. He needs months of recovery, complete rest, no stress. The damage was significant. If he doesn't make serious changes, the next attack will be fatal. Flora nodded. Chang Mao was alive. Everything else could be figured out later. Can I see him? Soon. Give us another hour. At 6:30 a.m., Yolanda arrived. I came as soon as I heard. How is he? He's going to live. But Yolanda, everything else is falling apart. I know. The documentary premieres tonight. And Flora, it gets worse. I've been fielding calls all night from families in our database. Someone sent them threatening messages, anonymous texts including specific details that should have been private. These families are terrified. Flora felt the rage flare hotter. We need to warn everyone officially about the breach. If we do that, we could lose everyone. The movement could collapse. Better that than someone getting hurt. At 7:30, Flora was finally allowed to see Chang Mao. He looked terrible, hooked up to machines, but his eyes opened and he managed a weak smile. I'm alive. You're alive, and you're going to stay alive. No more working yourself to death. The company can survive without you. Chang Mao, you almost died. Our children almost lost their father. Nothing is worth that. He squeezed her hand weakly. Flora, everything that's happening, I'm sorry I can't help fight. You're alive. That's how you help. Just be alive and get better. At 9 a.m., Flora's phone rang. Detective Kim from Seoul Metropolitan Police. Mrs. Chang, we need you to come to the station. We've discovered irregularities in the Foundation's records that extend beyond Minji's access. We need to understand who else might have been involved. Can you come this afternoon? 4 p.m.? Yes, 4 works. Flora checked her watch. In 5 hours, she'd meet Mio and get answers. She spent the next hour coordinating with Yolanda. They drafted a statement acknowledging the breach, advising families to change passwords, started reaching out personally, apologizing, trying to rebuild trust. At 11 a.m., Flora received an email. No subject, no sender, just a link to a private video. She clicked it. The video was footage of her family, private footage from inside their penthouse. Camera angles that weren't from their security cameras. Hidden cameras. The footage showed intimate moments. Flora and Chang Mao arguing about Zara's scholarship. Juno crying after his viral video. Zara's exhaustion, family dinners discussing sensitive topics. Flora felt bile rise in her throat. Every intimate moment, every fight, every tender word to her children, every tear she'd cried thinking she was alone. Someone had been watching, recording, waiting. Her home wasn't safe. Her family's privacy had been violated for 2 years. And she'd never known. Never suspected. The thought made her skin crawl. How many times had she changed clothes in her bedroom? How many private conversations had been captured? What else had they seen? Flora's hands shook as she stared at the screen. This wasn't just surveillance. This was predatory, invasive in a way that made her feel physically sick. The video ended with a message. See you tonight. Tonight. The documentary. Flora's phone rang. Seoul Broadcasting System. Seoul. Mrs. Chang, this is producer Han from SBS News. We've received footage that appears to be from inside your home. Someone sent it to multiple outlets saying it provides context for tonight's documentary. We're trying to verify if it's legal to air, but I wanted to reach out first. That footage was obtained illegally through hidden cameras planted without consent. Airing it would violate privacy laws. That's what I thought. We won't air it. But Mrs. Chang, some outlets might run it anyway. After the call, Flora sat very still. Someone had planted cameras in their home, had been watching, recording. Flora checked her watch. 1 p.m. 1 hour until she met Mio. She took a taxi to Gangnam, to the small cafe where she'd first met Mio 5 years ago. Mio sat at a back corner table and Flora barely recognized her. The beautiful woman was gone. In her place was someone frail, diminished, skin gray, hair thin, body wasted. Flora. Mio's smile was weak. Thank you for coming. Flora sat across from her. You said you have evidence. I do. Mio pulled out a USB drive with shaking hands. Everything's here. Financial records going back 15 years, communication logs, video evidence, everything you need. Who is it? Board member Young Taiwan. He's been with Chang Industries 18 years, and he's hated your family since your marriage was announced. Jung Taiwan. Flora remembered him vaguely. Quiet, professional, supportive. Why? Because 15 years ago, Chang Mao's father passed him over for a promotion. Jung never forgave him. When Hansel died and left everything to Chang Mao, Jung saw his chance for revenge. Jung couldn't destroy the company outright, but he could destroy it slowly, make Chang Mao look incompetent. And the perfect weapon was you, Flora. A Nigerian woman, black, foreign. Jung thought Chang Mao would never love you, thought the marriage would stay cold and fail. But we fell in love, Lin. You did, and Jung had to adapt. He couldn't destroy you with violence after Marcus Chen failed, but he could destroy you with narrative. Tonight's documentary is his masterpiece, years of planning. Flora stared at the USB drive. He planted the cameras. Yes, 2 years ago when your security was upgraded, he paid the installation company. He's been watching ever since. And the embezzlement? Minji was his asset, planted 3 years ago. But the data breach is someone else. Jung has a network, Flora, others who believe what he believes. This isn't just one man. Flora felt ice in her veins. How many? I don't know, but Flora, Jung isn't the only enemy. After you stop him, there will be others. This fight doesn't end. I know. Before Flora could leave, Mio grabbed her hand weakly. Flora, tell Chang Mao something for me. Tell him I'm sorry. Sorry I left the way I did. Sorry I couldn't be brave enough to fight beside him. Sorry I wasted years hiding instead of helping. But tell him seeing what you two built together, seeing the family you created, the love you fought for, it gave me hope. Even while I was dying, it showed me love was worth it. Even when it's hard, even when it costs everything, you two proved it. Tears streamed down Mio's gaunt face. Thank you for loving him better than I could. Flora felt her own tears falling. Mio. Go. Fight. Win. And Flora, when this is over, if I'm still alive, come tell me how it ended. I want to know that love won. Flora pressed the USB drive into her hand and left the cafe, Mio's words echoing in her mind. Her phone rang. Agent Park. Flora, get to the hospital now. Madame Chang's lawyer is here. She showed up without warning. And Flora, she brought Madame Chang with her. What? She's not supposed to be released for 2 weeks. Emergency medical release. She had a heart episode in prison last night. She's dying, Flora, and she's demanding to see her grandchildren. Flora felt the world tilt. Don't let her anywhere near them. I'm coming now. The taxi ride took 20 minutes. When she burst into the hospital, Agent Park stood outside a waiting room, hand on her weapon. She's in there. Where are my children? With Chang Mao. I locked the door. They're safe. Flora took a breath, then pushed open the door. Madame Chang sat in a wheelchair, looking diminished. 70 years old and looking 90, skin papery, body skeletal. But when she looked up and saw Flora, her eyes were still sharp. "Flora, thank you for seeing me. I didn't agree to see you. I came to make sure you stay away from my children. I'm dying. 2 months, maybe 3. Pancreatic cancer, stage 4. Good, Flora said flatly. I don't expect sympathy. But Flora, before I die, I need to tell you something. Young Taiwan is going to destroy you. He's been planning for years. He used me, used my hatred, my resources. I thought we were partners, but I was just a tool. Flora, he has others. Board members, journalists, officials. Tonight's documentary is his opening move. Legal attacks on citizenship rights are coming. Education policies making it harder for multicultural children. Jung isn't just trying to destroy your family, he's trying to destroy the entire movement. Why are you telling me this? Madame Chang's laugh was bitter. Because I'm dying and tired of hate. And those children are still my grandchildren. Jung will use them, hurt them. You need to be ready. I am ready. I have evidence. Everything to expose Jung and everyone working with him. Do you? Madame Chang's eyes were sad. Flora, if you expose Jung tonight, if you destroy him publicly, what happens? You make him a martyr. Prove to everyone who agrees with him that multicultural families are threatening Korea. Turn him into a symbol. Is that winning? Flora felt the truth settle in her chest. Madame Chang was right. Then what do I do? Be smarter than I was. Don't fight with rage. Fight with strategy. Expose Jung, yes, but carefully. Show he's corrupt, not that he's wrong about multicultural families. Make it about his crimes, not his ideology, because his ideology is shared by millions. Before Flora could respond, her phone buzzed with an emergency alert. The documentary. It wasn't premiering at 8 p.m. It was live right now. Flora pulled out her phone and clicked the link. The documentary loaded, professionally produced, devastating. Juno's video in the opening, footage of Zara looking exhausted, Flora at events, edited to sound defensive, interviews with experts discussing psychological damage, statistics about depression in mixed-race children, and there, the private footage from their home. Intimate moments weaponized. It was going viral. In 2 minutes, the view count jumped from 10,000 to 100,000. Flora looked at Madame Chang. Help me. You know how he thinks. Help me fight him the right way. Madame Chang's smile was sad. Finally. It's not about winning, Flora. It's about surviving long enough to make real change. She pulled out paper, hands shaking, and scrawled a list. Names, phone numbers, details. These are Jung's allies. These are journalists he's paying. These are officials supporting him. And this, she circled one name. This is the person funding it. Flora looked at the name and felt her blood run cold. Go. Fight. Win. And Flora, when you do, come back and tell me. Flora left with Madame Chang's list and Mio's USB drive. Evidence and strategy. She found Agent Park. I need to make a press conference, right now, within the hour. What are you going to do? Fight back, not with emotion, with truth. If this story has you on the edge of your seat, if your heart is racing, hit that like button right now. The press conference was arranged for 5 p.m., 3 hours to prepare. Flora watched the documentary, taking notes on every lie. She reviewed Mio's evidence, organizing it. She read Madame Chang's list, memorizing names. At 4:30, she visited Chang Mao. He was awake, looking stronger but fragile. I saw the documentary. I saw what they did. I'm about to respond, going public with everything. Are you okay with that? Flora, whatever you decide, I trust you. Go be the warrior I fell in love with. At 5 p.m., Flora stood in the hospital's press conference room, packed with journalists, cameras, microphones. The room fell silent as Flora took the podium. She looked directly into cameras. My name is Flora Nwosu Chang. 2 hours ago, a documentary about my family was released without our knowledge. That documentary uses carefully edited footage to paint multicultural families as failures. I'm here to tell you everything in that documentary is a lie. She paused. But it's not just a lie. It's a conspiracy. Designed by people who profit from division, who benefit from keeping Korea closed. Flora pulled out the USB drive, held it up. This contains 15 years of evidence showing exactly who's been attacking my family. Financial records proving embezzlement. Communication logs showing coordination between corrupt board members, paid journalists, video evidence of crimes that would send multiple people to prison, and I'm releasing all of it. Right now, I'm uploading it to the website as we speak. Gasps ran through the room. But before I do, I want to explain something. The people behind this want you to think this is about culture, about preserving Korean identity. But it's not. It's about power. About people threatened by change. Flora's voice grew stronger. My children don't struggle because they're Korean and Nigerian both. They struggle because people in power have spent years making them feel like they don't belong. They struggle because society tells them they have to choose. She pulled up the first slide, Young Taiwan's photograph. This is board member Young Taiwan of Chang Industries. For 15 years, he's been orchestrating attacks against my family, not because we did anything wrong, but because my husband's father passed him over for a promotion. Wounded pride and racism wrapped together. Flora showed the evidence. Financial records of Young's embezzlement, communication logs showing coordination with Madame Chang, Marcus Chen, Minji, video evidence of him accessing the database illegally. It was damning, comprehensive, irrefutable. Board member Jung will be arrested tonight, along with others involved. Their crimes will be prosecuted fully. But I want everyone to understand something. Jung is one man. His crimes are his own. Exposing him doesn't mean he was wrong about everything. The room went quiet. Because here's the truth. Jung exploited real concerns. Questions Korean society is grappling with as it becomes diverse. How to maintain cultural identity while embracing change. How to support children navigating multiple cultures. What it means to be Korean in the 21st century. Those questions are valid. We can't dismiss them just because Jung twisted them into weapons. Flora looked into the cameras. So here's what I'm proposing. Instead of fighting about whether multicultural families should exist, let's talk about how to support them. Instead of debating whether diversity is good or bad, let's focus on making sure every child in Korea feels like they belong. She paused. The movement isn't about erasing Korean culture. It's about expanding our definition of what Korean can mean. My children are Korean. They're also Nigerian. They're fully both. And Korea is big enough to include them without losing itself. We don't have to choose between tradition and progress. Flora's voice softened. My family isn't perfect. We struggle. But we're not struggling because we're multicultural. We're struggling because we have to fight for our right to exist in a society that keeps questioning whether we deserve to be here. And I'm tired. God, I'm so tired. But I'm going to keep fighting. Because my children deserve a Korea that celebrates them. They deserve to be seen as whole. They deserve better. She looked at her notes, then set them aside. Tonight, after you watch the evidence I'm releasing, after you see proof of Jung's crimes, I hope you'll ask yourself one question. Not whether multicultural families are good or bad, but this. What kind of country do we want to be? One that welcomes people who are different, or one that demands conformity? That's the real choice. Not about my family, about all of us, about the Korea we're building. Flora stepped back. The room erupted with questions, but Flora walked out. Outside, Agent Park waited with Zara and Juno. "Mommy," Zara said. "Was that true? About Mr. Jung?" "Every word." "What happens now?" Flora looked at her daughter, at her son. "Now we rest. We heal. We figure out how to just be a family again, not symbols, just us." That night, after the children slept beside Chung Mao's bed, after Agent Park confirmed Jung had been arrested along with 3 other board members, after the evidence had been downloaded over 1 million times, Flora stood at the hospital window looking at Seoul. Her phone had been buzzing nonstop, messages of support, calls from international media, emails from lawyers offering help, but also hate messages, threats, people calling her a liar. The fight wasn't over, would never be over. But standing there watching Seoul's lights, Flora felt something she hadn't felt in months. Hope. Because yes, there were people who hated her family, but there were more who supported them, more who wanted a better Korea. She wasn't alone. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "You won this round." But Jung was just the opening move. Did you really think he was the architect? He was a pawn. The real power behind this has been watching you for years. Someone with more money than Jung, more connections than Madame Chang, more patience than Marcus Chen, someone you see every day but never suspect. They're coming for you, Flora, and when they do, you'll finally understand. Some wars can't be won, only survived. Flora stared at the message, ice settling in her bones. Jung was just a pawn. Someone bigger was behind this. Someone she saw every day but never suspected. Madame Chang had been right. Mio had been right. Jung was just one man. There were others waiting, and the real architect was still out there. But as Flora looked at her sleeping children, at her recovering husband, she felt something fierce rising. Let them come. She'd survived 11 years of attacks, survived conspiracies and kidnappings and assassination attempts, survived Jung's assault. She would survive whatever came next, because that's what love meant. You fought not because you knew you'd win, but because giving up wasn't an option. Flora closed her eyes, took a breath, and whispered into the darkness. I'm ready. And somewhere in Seoul, in shadows she couldn't see, enemies she hadn't met were watching, planning, waiting. The real war was just beginning. If you've made it this far, if you need to know what happens next, if you're ready to see Flora face her greatest challenges yet, type episode 2 in the comments right now. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that notification bell, because season 2 is about to take you on a journey you never expected. The enemies Flora doesn't know about yet are about to show themselves, and what they have planned will test everything she believes about family, love, and belonging. Episode 2 drops soon, and nothing will ever be the same. Type episode 2 if you're ready. Let's do this together.